I must say that I do have a confession to make. A team that I've been watching on the low lately has to be the Toronto Raptors. I mean, they've been such a talented team and I love watching them. I will say it is very difficult to watch some of these games because they're not exactly on national television and I live in Phoenix, not Canada. But I do have to say, when I've been watching this team, I've been very impressed and I think they have a lot of talent if I'm being completely honest. They have a lot of underrated players on their team with guys like Trent Jr. or now one-time All-Star Fred VanVleet, and there's just so many things that I want to discuss in this video regarding the Toronto Raptors. Of course, before I get into the content, if you guys to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if your notifications on. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, and your subscription would be greatly appreciated. Let's get into the video. Today's video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, but we're going to discuss them later on in the video. I think if we're going to talk about the Toronto Raptors, the first player I do want to discuss is Fred VanVleet, who's having a career high year, averaging 21, 7, and 4. So when it was announced that Fred VanVleet would be an NBA All-Star, I was very excited for him because I know he was undrafted. I heard about his story and I saw him in the NBA Finals versus the Golden State Warriors, and I knew this guy was very talented. And when it comes to NBA guards, I think Fred VanVleet is very underrated because his play style isn't exactly the craziest thing you're going to see, but he's still an efficient player. And at the end of the day, for me, if a player can play efficiently and he's good at what he does, then I'm going to give him credit. Now, I don't think most people, except maybe Toronto Raptor fans, thought that this team was going to be good this season and that they actually had a chance to contend in the East. After winning the NBA Finals versus the Golden State Warriors, and even after the fact that Kawhi Leonard would eventually leave, I thought that this team was pretty put well together. You had Fred VanVleet, who was a very underrated player who was due for a bag soon. You had Pascal Siakam, who I'm going to talk about in this video. At the time, they had guys like Kyle Lowry and Serge Ibaka, Danny Green, Marc Gasol. They had so many talented players. Some of them are still there today, but not most of the ones that I just named. And all I'm gonna say about Masai Ujiri is that that man is a literal genius. And what I love about that roster is that technically, besides Kawhi Leonard, they didn't really have any superstars. No, I don't want anyone in the comment section below trying to convince me Kyle Lowry was a superstar. And what I find very interesting, and maybe this will be in another video for another time, but it seems like this Raptors team was one of the reasons why super teams haven't been that popular, at least at winning championships. Think about it, who won the last 3 NBA Finals? Toronto Raptors in 2019, who had a really good roster built around them, but Kawhi Leonard was really the only superstar. In 2020, you had the Los Angeles Lakers, and say what you want about Disney and the bubble, but at the end of the day, they won and they didn't have a super team. They had a 1-2 punch in LeBron and AD. So I would like to be on the record to say the fact that I believe that 2019 Raptors team that would beat the Golden State Warriors would be the reason why super teams are gonna start not happening as much. But like I said before, this is a whole nother discussion for another video. Now, don't get me wrong, Fred VanVleet is a very talented player, but my favorite player to watch on this Raptors team has to be Trent Jr. Now, just like Fred VanVleet, he's also having a career year, averaging 18 points per game while also shooting 40% from 3. Now, currently, he is the 4th leading scorer on the Toronto Raptors, so yeah, most people wouldn't see him as the best player, and I'm not going to call him the best player necessarily, but I just love watching him a lot more. I want to remind you guys that the Portland Trailblazers would trade Trent Jr. for Norman Powell, who would also end up getting traded in a lopsided trade. I think this goes to show you how bad the Portland Trailblazers organization is. Because am I the only one that low-key would have been hyped about a Trent Jr. and Damian Lillard backcourt? Of course, Trent Jr. wasn't having the best numbers in Portland, so it is hard to speculate that maybe he wouldn't have done as well as he's doing now there, but you never know. He started to get more opportunities in Portland, but it wasn't until Toronto when he really started to go crazy. All I gotta say about Trent Jr. is that I like his play style. He's good at shooting the ball and he's someone that can really drive to the rim, and he does really well for the Raptors. When he had like 42 versus Houston the other day, I just thought that was pretty interesting. Another player I want to talk about is the rookie Scotty Barnes, but of course, before we can talk about Scotty Barnes, y'all, this video is sponsored by Manscaped.com, the #1 brand for men's grooming and hygiene products. Fellas, Valentine's Day is in about 2 days, and if you want to get something for your perfect person, then may I suggest some products from Manscaped. Now, if it were up to me and what I'd be getting my perfect person, because I don't have a Valentine because I'm lonely as hell, I'd be getting them that Performance Package 4.0. It comes with so many amazing Manscaped products, for example, like their Lawnmower 4.0, they have their Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, it comes with a Weed Whacker, it comes with these cool Manscaped boxers, it even comes with the Manscaped travel bag. What I love about Manscaped's products are that they are unisex, so men and women can also use them. When you think about it, this is the gift for both of y'all, if you know what I mean. Maybe you don't want to spend that much money, you want to get something small for your person, then you can get their Crop Preserver, which is actually my favorite product to use. I would like to also know if they do do have a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner that they just released if you guys do want to check that out on manscaped.com, which will be in the link in the description below. And if you do use code Spex, you'll get 20% off your order plus international free shipping. Guys, it's code Spex for 20% off plus international free shipping. Get a Manscaped for response in the video and the channel. Guys, your balls will thank you. Now, depending on who you ask, some people are going to say that they think Scotty Barnes should be the rookie of the year, and to be honest, I'm kind of a part of that group. It's either him or Evan Mobley, and both players have been really dominant for their teams. Now, the Raptors are not doing as good as the Cleveland Cavaliers are, so maybe, just maybe, it's going to end up going to Evan Mobley, but if it were up to me, I'd give it to Scotty Barnes. Currently, he's averaging about 15, 7, and 4 on about 47% from the field, while Evan Mobley's averaging about 15, 8, and 2. Evan Mobley does have a slight little edge over Scotty Barnes right now when it comes to stats, but they're very close, and I think at the end of the year that Scotty Barnes is going to get the edge he needs to win Rookie of the Year. Like I said, you couldn't really go wrong with either of these picks, whether you're on Team Scotty or Team Mobley, which I don't really think there has to be teams, but the point is that they're both talented rookies. Now listen, you guys have seen my worst takes, you've seen my best takes, but during the NBA draft, on draft night, I did a draft night stream, which I'll probably do for future NBA drafts, but during the NBA draft, the Toronto Raptors had the 4th overall pick, and I was the person that was saying Jalen Suggs was going to be the big player to come out of this draft. He was my go-to guy. I was the person that was saying that Jalen Suggs was the person that the Raptors needed to take and that they were going to be good if they did. And of course, they would go on to take Scotty Barnes, and Jalen Suggs would fall to the Magic at number 5. Now, during the stream, I said that this was a terrible pick. I don't know why they took Scotty Barnes, but to be fair, I didn't watch a lot of Scotty Barnes, so I had no idea. And if we fast forward to now, we can clearly see that that was the right move getting Scotty Barnes. Listen, do I think that Jalen Suggs could have been the same player Scotty Barnes is turning out to be if he was on the Raptors? Maybe, because the Magic are an absolute joke of an organization, but I gotta say, Scotty Barnes has been dominating, and if I'm a Raptors fan, I would not be complaining. I think they already had the idea they were gonna take him because the first 3 picks of that draft were solidified. We already knew who was gonna go, but shout out to the Raptors for making the right choice. Now, when I title my videos like these, when I say blank team tricked the NBA, I mean that as this team was a surprise to most people. A lot of people didn't see the Raptors being a top team in the East, and technically they're still not. They're currently the 6th seed of the Eastern Conference. However, they're on an 8-game win streak right now and have been dominating lately. However, they can easily climb up the ranks of the Eastern Conference as they're only about a game and a half from the 5th seed. And out of all conferences, the Eastern Conference is the most wide open, as you could lose 1 game and jump from the 3rd seed to the 1st seed. Unlike the West, there's no really safe spot right now for any team. Any playoff spot or possible seeding is up in the air, which I love because for a lot of years people said, oh, the Eastern Conference is a joke, the Western Conference rules, but it seems like now that the Eastern Conference is the more interesting. I'm a Suns fan, so I don't necessarily have to pay attention to the East, but I gotta say, teams like the Heat and the Cavs have been surprising a lot of people. I'm telling you, by the time the season ends, I think the Raptors are gonna be a top 3 or at least top 4 seed in the East. Of course, this isn't me saying, oh, I think the Raptors are a top 3 team in the East or they're a top 4 team, but when it just comes to seeding and the playoffs, I think they're gonna be there. And with the beginning of the end for super teams, it's safe to say that teams like the Raptors could really make a run in the East, and that there's no spot in the East that's safe. For the first time in my existence as an NBA fan, I can't tell you who the definitive NBA champions are going to be. Obviously, I'm going to tell you the Suns are going to make it. I'm going to support that team 100%. Even if we were like the 5th seed, I'm going to tell you we were going to make the NBA finals. But there's no real super team in the NBA right now, and so many other teams have been dominating lately, like the Grizzlies and the Warriors have kind of came back. Like I mentioned, in the East, teams like the Heat, the Cavs, the Bulls, even the Bucks are back. And when the Toronto Raptors made the NBA finals, no one thought they were going to make it. Just like in 2020, no one thought the Miami Heat were going to make it. I'm not telling you the Raptors are going to make the NBA finals this year. However, I'm not telling you that they can't.